Okay, so we're going to start playing with my usual amount of babbling and introspection. This one is particularly troublesome, the beginning sequence with it, because there's nothing to sort of mechanistically cause these to happen. Everything should be pre-planned. Now, obviously, no matter what, opposed, solo, whatever, I'm, walking into the game with so little experience. A poorly played, not by the rules, pre-game where I got through this and I missed a couple of major rules. Rules that I am curious whether or not the actual rules will please me more. But in this particular case, the decision on the bids for these private companies is particularly difficult. I have a choice of putting, and we're starting over here, that's going to be our starting player. I have the choice of putting any company up, it's going to go, and it's going to go for whatever value, the players decide to pay for it, essentially. And that's a very, very hard decision for me. First of all, which one to put up. I can kind of do the bidding. What I did last time was, once they go over about half the price, it starts becoming a harder call on how much to bid. But how much to bid to begin with and everything, that's kind of randomized. But anyway, the way my initial packets of privates come out in almost any solo game is fairly random. And I don't find that to be particularly horrible. But trying to figure out where my 510 share marker came from. Guess I got a couple of things from last night out there. And I apologize, the intro, I was getting very tired. I've been getting bad headaches. The colder weather is bringing out after effects of COVID again that I've been kind of avoiding for the past couple of months maybe. Okay, so what I have to do is kind of figure out how to randomize with this. Well, one thing I can do is I can look and say, you know what, the major mail contract is more interesting than the next lower one because it's going to be subsidized perhaps to a higher degree. So I'm going to go for reducing this because it's not just 6 things. To the major mail contract, the major coal contract to begin with, the major bridge company, the train station, which I found to be more valuable than you would think. An extra token on a 2 train can be really, really valuable. It doesn't look like it. At $80, that's kind of an expensive thing. Pittsburgh. So now I'm at 5. Mountain Engineers puts me to 6. So those are the 6 that I'm going to open up as the things that are interesting to look at. And the first player is going to pick one of them, and I'm just going to do it at random, giving them all an equal value because last time I skewed things a little bit, and I ended up not getting the Pittsburgh mill, which, I don't know. So we're going to take the train station and put that up as our first one. And now kind of the question is, well, what do I want to put up for a bid? Obviously, if I can get that for $5, that's fantastic. But nobody's going to let me have that at $5. So I'm going to do an initial swing of bids. 10, 15, okay. So I am going to open my bid at $10 on the train station, which isn't going to fucking hold. And now I kind of start randomly deciding on other people. And because it's so low, I may make the bids go up more than once by the dice, like I tried to with him. But that $10, again, that's not going to hold. And somebody's going to go up to at least 40 on it. So, now I go to the second player. Is he interested in this? Well, if he has some other plan, he may not even want this and just hope somebody else jumps in. But at $15, it's almost certain that he does want to get in, so he's going to go to 15. 20, 25, 30, 35. I'm going to go to a bid of 35, and I've got to mark that by making some change to just show that he's put a bid in. Close to that halfway point, and the bids become a little bit more iffy. So I'm going to go to my standard bidding operation here now. He's going to pass over here. He's going to pass. Again, I'm a little iffy on the train station being worth all that much. You know. Okay, so we've got a 40 here, and does he want to go higher than that? No. And again, what am I doing here? Well, they both had to be odd for me to agree. I just make up these, you know, odds of making an acceptance. I want to show people a little bit of that because there's kind of a question of, well, how do you solo, you know, something like this kind of auction? So he was willing to go to 40, and now we start swinging around. And it's going to become harder because now we're above that halfway point. And by the rules, advice, going above that halfway point, you may be paying too much for these privates. You want to get some of this in. I had somebody respond though, you know, hey, even if you're only getting $5 out of the early short interest, you're still getting to start a company for less money than you might be able to otherwise. We'll consider that situation, being able to float an extra company or whatever, just because, or being able to float one a little cheaper. But I think that's kind of a rare situation. So this guy has to come up with 40 bucks. Going around, he's still in it. It's at that 40. I'm gonna go with the, it's probably not worth overbidding. So he's gonna withdraw his bid, and same here, he's gonna go to 45 to bid. He chooses definitely not to. So it's 40 bucks over there for the train station company. In order to keep track of what the hell I'm doing, I'm going to use the priority deal marker to put it over here. He's going to start the next bid. And likewise now, I have to make a decision on what's out there that I want. Well, I don't know. I think what I'm going to do is a 1 through 5 with the 5 remaining companies that are special, and then on a 6 I'll figure something else out to do. And people are always going to offer one up. It might be a viable tactic not to offer. Oh, he put 40 bucks in. We got to take 40 out of here, and this is almost forgot. So this is kind of the delimiter, is do you want to pay, are any of these privates worth paying full face value for? And my answer last game was definitely not. I don't think they are. That's the impression I got from the rules advice. Okay, so this guy, what's he going to do? We'll start working our way up. Well, he goes all the way to 5. That's going to be the Mountain Engineers. That's a 40 buck company. Let's see what we do. He goes to 10, 15, 20. And now we're above that limit. I'm going to hold. I'm just going to put a 20 buck bid on. And I do that this way. And again, how valuable is this? This is an interesting one. This stays for the entirety of the game. And you can basically turn, if you've got, you know, sure, it's great if you want to build through the mountains. But even if you don't want to build through the mountains and you have a build that you don't know what to do with, every now and then you can turn it in for $5 by building a yellow track in the mountains if you have the 15 bucks available, and then you get 20 back. So that's kind of a neat thing to have even late in the game. It never goes away. So let's take a look at him. Somebody will probably go up to 25 on this. But so far, those odds are beginning to decrease. No one does. So he's going to get that at 20, and that means another 20 is pumped in from here to help pay for it. He got one, and now the priority goes down here, and yes, I'm good. Next decision. Well, now the decision making is getting kind of painful because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 that are interesting. 5 or 6. I'm going to go on the lower end. Don't know what that means. Probably just count up from the top or something like that. But instead, I'm going to put the Union Bridge Company up. And again, that's an $80 one. What's neat about this one, if I recall correctly, is all bridging, all $10 bridging, is free. I'm going to find that. That's what I remember seeing. Yawning company may place. Okay, and you're allowed to place the bridge tokens at any time. Louisville, Cincinnati, and Charlestown. Oh, that's down here. How big a deal is that? Well, conceivably, I could run something like a Louisville to Cincinnati run and get some pretty good money off that. So it's of some value, there's no question. So we're at 5. We are going with a $5 bid, which almost certainly is going to be boosted over. I'm going to jump away. You've seen my kind of mechanism for generating the bidding, and I'll probably come back with results. Sometimes one of the problems with my bidding system is sometimes it gets carried away, and this could have been one of those. This ended up going for 55, significantly more than that halfway price. I'm not sure why. Part of it may be this is kind of an out-of-the-way area. If I'm building in Cincinnati and Louisville down to Atlanta, or Cincinnati and Charleston down to Atlanta, that's kind of iffy. This guy was actually high up in the bidding as well. Now that could have been interesting because he could actually create a company using 2 miners with that 120, the same as this has for face value. So at 55, we got to throw in 25 from here, from that extra funding, and the initial bidder got that, and now we throw it back over here. I get more and more familiar with a game, like with 1830, for example. I get a better valuation of what these are, and then I skew my die rolls according to that. So, for example, I have a value for the Camden and Amboy in 1830 that is significantly higher than, you know, whatever the bidding allowance is for other private companies in that game, and maybe some others are a little skewed just by my personal experience and desires, which doesn't necessarily match. And sometimes you learn that, you know, some of these privates are better than they are. But at this point, you know, I have not played this enough by any means to come to that kind of, oh man, that one kicks ass. The thing I did learn is that this is, it looked like a horrible buy. You know, 80 bucks for a dot. Geez, man, a dot's only 50 bucks. What the hell? Well, yes, if you're able to get a dot, you know, from expanding your corporation. But if you're getting, you know, from the acquisition liquidation, you don't know what it's going to go for. It may be cheaper than that. It may be more expensive. But early on, it's hard to get an extra dot. You know, you can probably go from the 1 dot to 2 dots pretty easily just by doing something in your first M&A, but you can't go from 2 to 3 very easily. And this gets you that second one right away. So you can actually, you can build up a much better early company using that. And we'll see how whether that works for me here. No clue what I'm doing numbers-wise here. What do we got? We got 1, 2. You know, we ought to be throwing a bridge in here because we just bought a bridge. Let's see what else got bought. The others are all specialties. So we're going to drop the bridge into there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s, and 6s mean I do something weird. Okay. So for the 5 and 6, I'm going to come up from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which probably doesn't make sense, but it sort of negates that weighting towards the more expensive versions of things. And we're going to put this mail contract up. This just produces 15 bucks, you know, per operating round for the corporation that owns it. If they have a trade. Notably, it produces nothing for a player who owns it. You have to get these into corporate hands, and you probably want to do it damn early in the game, like on your first stock round. You want to create corporations with these, which is one of the reasons why these privates have kind of faded from my memory. I've been playing this for a week or whatever, and this was sort of, you know, the first day that I played, this stuff all got done. We had one of those stupid overages. For whatever reason, this guy bid 45 bucks on, no, I'm sorry. He bid 40. Nobody went to 45. Okay. On the Pittsburgh steel mill. I don't know why. Maybe he has some particular desire to be coming out of Pittsburgh. I don't see it. That means no seed money is used. So he bought it at a shitty price as far as I'm concerned. That sometimes happens. Now, sometimes in opposed games, somebody's got some kind of weird rabbit up their ass where they think something's going to be great. And sometimes I do, and I overvalue something, but it feels particularly weird when I'm looking and saying, I see no reason to be particularly advantageous on that. But that's what happens when you throw enough randomness in. And by the way, you know, my randomness, I went from succeeding once with 2 dice to succeeding twice with 2 dice once it reached, you know, where all 4 dice rolled had to be odd. And you can play around with your odds in different ways in your head. That's going to put it over here. Now, he's got the train station. First thing I got to ask is there any kind of synergy that I can get with something that says a train station helps me? And maybe there is with a major coal company. I don't think anything else really speaks out to that. There are 6 in total, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On a 6, I'm going to skew it between these two, because I think that minor coal company is particularly uninteresting, as is the bridge company, but we'll see what my choice is. I get a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to put this sucker up. And, you know, what we put up may not be what we end up getting, right? That ended up going over to the bridge guy at 30 bucks, which isn't an unreasonable price, but that 30 bucks means that, well, what it means is that he picked up a company that maybe people didn't really want. Maybe he's playing more for that major coal company by putting this one up first and draining some cash or something. But what it does, and making the other ones less attractive, because there's only 45 bucks in here. So this isn't going to go, you know, it's not going to, well, 45 is probably about a fair bid on it. But if another bid happens, this might go for like 70 personal cash or something like that, in which case, you're not, you know, getting as big a bonus, but it may be particularly appealing to him and to him for various reasons. So we got the priority there with the Pittsburgh. He has a particular interest, I would say, in maybe the bridge company, almost certainly this. The other thing's a little less so. So, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on 5 or 6, I re-roll at a more open position. 4, I'm going to put the Ohio Bridge Company up. Good enough. I'm swapping the way I'm doing things now, because we're down to enough that one die covers everything. So here I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he's got a particular interest in coal because of his mountain industry. So I'll go 5 on the major coal. And then 6 is going to open it up just to these two. Again, making shit up as I go. But we get a 3, which means I'll put the minor mail contract out. And the Ohio Bridge one here went for a little bit more than you might expect. I think like 25 or something like that, maybe 30, because he doesn't have one, and you don't want to get left out of that bonus money, entirely. So as the prices start going up, I'm seeing a better play out of these privates than I did last time I played. Last time I played, I got again, I'm less willing to intervene when I don't know what the hell's going on and let the randomness hit me more. And I got someone bought, like this for $5 or something like that, which is just obscene, maybe not 5, but well under the 60. And it is just a crazy thing because that is a wonderful thing. And for the rest of the game, it's going to produce $20 each operating round. But this one, and he gets to start the bidding on it. And assuming I did things right and didn't get confused, it ended up over here. He's got actually 2 mail contracts. That's kind of weird. But, it's worth a little bit more than this. And we're almost out of seed money. There's only $20 of seed money, which means, if I put a bid on this, for example, I got to put at least 70 up. Now, I'm not really interested in the coal mine at all. So am I interested in the mail contract at $100? I have a lot of stuff here. I'm going to say I'm likely to pass, actually, and not put something up for bid. I've spent a fair amount. I've gotten a couple of interesting things. And, if I could conceivably start a couple of companies. If I get this real cheap, that's kind of cool, actually. So yeah, I'm going to put this up, and I have to bid a minimum of 10, and that's probably about all I want to bid, because that may mean a second company for me, being able to leverage that money, and it wipes out the opportunities for people to get these at any reduced rate, which I'm not sure. This does not. It's not bad. Even at 120, it may be okay, but the feeling is like I don't think it's good at 120. The rules tell me no. The rules tell me don't do that. But I think I'd be willing to go. The 100 on it maybe. Just because in a few rounds it pays itself off, but it is putting a big burden on your new corporation to be getting nothing but that $20 income over a period from that, from a significant portion of its bid price. Means it's not going to have a lot of cash. Of course, if loan prices are cheap, that might not be bad, but there are probably a fair amount of loans at the beginning of the game. So anyway, he has to open with at least 10, but he may throw more in. Try to make something like this a $5 deal or something. I don't know. This is a point where you got to start taking into account what you would be able to do with these privates. Because again, you want them to produce their production when they produce it. So something like these coal companies, they're going to benefit a lot of players, and that's one of the things the rule strategy goes into is, yeah, you may get a bonus, for the whole game from that, but your real bonus is where no one else is using that same advantage that you've been gaining, which it's a little hard to judge. while someone else may be using it, probably everyone else isn't using it. So, you've probably got it set up between your tokens in a way that you're getting benefits that other people aren't. So it's not, it's not really a clear thing that you can just look at and say, oh, this is great. On the other hand, if you're concentrating on, say, coal mining out here, you're maybe not concentrating on New York City or the $30 cities that are out there. Obviously, the Pittsburgh changes that a little bit. Somebody could really screw up Pittsburgh by starting a company there when he has that. And that's one reason I'm a little shy of ever buying that thing. And again, it went for a high price. So it's not like, if he got it for $5, somebody might do that just to be a dick and wipe out some of his advantage there. Could probably do something with it though. You could start a company here and you're really close to Pittsburgh. So it's not really an absolute thing that somebody else is going to take a bigger advantage out of you. And if you got it for $5, yeah, what the hell? Okay. So we're actually on this guy, and how much money does he have left? Well, he has 70 available currently and 160. That 160, it becomes kind of complicated, right? Because if I get this, let's say I get the major coal mine, I'm not sure I'm interested in that. Let's say I get the major mail contract for $110. That's what I'd have to bid. That would leave me with only $50 to put into a company. Now, I can still start a company. I've got all this shit, but $50, can I do it? Yeah, I actually can. I could create one company, and let's see what the bid would be for that. Well, it would be 120, 190. If I put the 50 and it's 240, I can't bid that. So, no. But let's say instead I withhold one of these as something that I'm going to add later to a different company, obviously. Well, then I could pretty closely run one of these others. So like here I have 150 plus 50 gives me $200. I could start a company at at $100 a share, without a lot of cash in it. And that's kind of cool because I'm not, I'm giving it advantages. I can take a couple of loans out for another couple $100 and get some decent rails, get some decent choo-choos on it for early money. It's not like I'm not putting up my own money. This stuff I paid for, and if I'm not using all of them, it's a little painful. So I'm going to say he's probably not going to try to start something. He's not really interested in the major coal. He might be, but he's already got the minor coal. He is going to pass the the choice up here. Now, this guy is also low on cash. Even lower on cash, I would say he is also almost impossible. So I'm just going to roll some dice, and he is definitely not going to. But over here, this guy has some reasonable cash. Not all that much. Not all that much. You only start with 210, so 150, 60, 170. 170. Jeez. I don't know. Let me think. I got that extra train station. The major coal is something I was very interested in. What if I buy these two? That's $170. I could start a company with a decent amount. I'm going to say there's a good chance that I want to do this. So put $80 up. Oh no, he's gonna hold. he's going to leave that money on the table. Pittsburgh definitely is interested in that major coal company. I am going to put the $80 bid on that coal company. And then we got to see if anybody else is terribly interested in it. This guy may be. I'm going to have to look at the integration of the mountain engineers and the coal company. I don't know if he can get the $20 for building a coal company hex. Looks like he could. It's after paying any applicable any cost for going through the terrain. So it looks like, since there isn't any applicable, he'd still get that $20 bonus for playing these suckers down. That makes sense. Gives a kind of synergy. How do I feel about this? Well, I mean, I'm in a similar situation to the Pittsburgh. There's particularly good reasons why I want to be digging coal, which means what? It means that if I bid 85, I'm only using $5 of that money. This becomes, you know, a little discounted. Not much. If anybody was open, maybe. I honestly don't know. $85 leaves me with 100. I have 130. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go to the 85. Nobody else is interested in this shit. Nobody else. Well, he might be. Full price on this? No. Okay, so this is the big question. Are you willing to pay full price for the major coal company? And the answer is no. So he has just bought this for $90, which is probably a mistake. But remember, the other guy bought one, the Pittsburgh, for 40, maybe thinking he would be able to get a coal company. Okay. And that means priority is actually sitting over here. I do not have $115 to put up. I don't think anybody wants this. This looks like just a screw. The only question is, how about him? He has a buttload of cash sitting around here. Is $5 off the price of something worth it for that? I will give him, since he made the bad decision before, a chance to make this bad decision. Everybody else is passing. And he chooses not to. So this one just goes away. It will not be in this game. And that is perfectly fine from my point of view. Now, who gets the first stock round? That's a good question. I think it's him, but I'm not positive. Play proceeds to the left of the person who started the auction. That's from here. To the left of the last player who is, yeah. So he's holding the option for a company. And this is where the game gets kind of tricky. Because choosing your starting value, choosing what you do, all becomes kind of difficult. So I only have $130, or I have $130 worth of stuff that I want to throw into one company. Which company? I don't know. We'll talk about that. I have $130 I want to throw into a company. I have another 105. So that puts me to 230. Now, if I wanted to take 230, 235 actually, I'm allowed to bid in multiples of between 100 and 400. My total bid could be 235. If it was, that would end up being 117, which would drop down to 110. So a 220 bid seems a little wiser. keep a little bit of cash in my pocket, I can probably make the company work. A 220 bid, though, means I'm starting the company at 110 bucks. That is somewhat problematic. I'm investing a lot of my stock value in this company, and I'm not putting a lot of cash into it. Another option, though, is I could take this 130 and lose my company right away. This 130 and throw some more in. How much more do I need? Well, I would need at least 20 bucks more. So let's say I bring it up to 30 bucks more. That makes me 160. Now I've got 80 bucks a share. That extra money that I threw in is money that I can use to pay interest on the loans I'm going to be taking out to buy initial trains. Can I get 2 trains off that? I don't know. Let me think. So I'm going to have a couple $100. Yes, I can do that. So if I start a company at 100, what was my number? 160, which is an 80 bid. That leaves me with 75 bucks here. 75 bucks is not enough to bid another company into existence. There will be no shares available for me to buy immediately. And nobody's going to expand their companies real fast. So I probably do want to throw all my cash into my initial company. It'll make it a little healthier. Okay, so that's the first decision. How much do I put in? I put all of it in because I've got to put 30 bucks in here, and you got to have 100 bucks left. So, I mean, I don't have enough money to buy 2 companies. That's the first decision to look at. The second decision then is which company. And for that, I look at my privates. Yep, they're still there. Head check. Not like they get any use. And where I'd want to start a company. And here's the interesting thing. This is going to go up for bid. I can put a company up that I'm not necessarily interested in because someone else will want it. It's definitely an interesting concept. So, for example, I could start a bid on Pittsburgh, knowing that he really wants Pittsburgh. I could start a bid on New York City, knowing that it's the best location on the board to start a company at. And it can reach some of these mining locations. That may not be my best choices, though. Pittsburgh is not bad. And the neat thing about Pittsburgh is this probably is going to come into play. So I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for Pittsburgh. And of course, if he chooses not to use his Pittsburgh tile, that screws me. Do I want to take that chance? I mean, how much does it screw me? Well, it screws me out of that bonus tile, and it puts me in a slightly less interesting position than I could be otherwise. Maybe I'm better off in Albany, here between New York and Boston. But is that the one I want to put up for bid? Do I want to put up for bid the company that I most want? And that's the problem with this game. Is like normally in an XX you're like, yeah, I'll start this company. You know, I really want to start the NYC at this point. Great. You know, you just pick it and you put it up there. But by having to put it up for bid, I don't know if I'm going to get it. My initial bid's going to be pretty high though. So I think I can, especially for a kind of iffy location like Albany. So now comes what I consider one of the more painful things in this process, which is, why is there a black tile? Aha, there's the Pittsburgh tile. We'll put that over here for now. Okay, we'll just give this to him. Let him have it. Okay. Which is picking which company I want to have. And this is a meaningless thing in terms of game terms, but for me, I need to do it. Well, there happens to be a Boston and Albany, and that's the one I'm going to pick. So I'm going to dig that out. But there, you know, I have to look at all of them and try to see which one fits the best. And in some cases, you might be starting a company where there are not any train companies that really start in that area, or they're already taken, in which case you have to pick one that, you know, it's not the Boston and Albany if you're starting down here. Granted, there might be a Boston and an Albany down there somewhere, but it feels absolutely wrong to do that. And you could get away with this with the big name companies. Somehow I think the designers decided not to put the big name companies in, but again, it hurts me. I like to see my familiar faces there. I grabbed the materials that I'm going to have here, and I'm going to put both of these into it. That's 130 plus 90 puts me at 220. That means my stock value is 110, but my bid is 220. I can bring that up to 230 and it'll keep the stock value at the same place. And now I go through the other players and see, are any of them really interested in this? So for example, he's got the Union Bridge Company. If I'm starting two companies, then yes, maybe I want to start one down there with the two coal mines and one over here. And that's got to be his first choice. Is it feasible to bid on this? If it's not feasible, I'm not going to bother. Before I do that, I'm going to make a roll for him whether he wants to throw the extra 10 bucks in. 50% chance he does, because that'll be extra money that helps the corporation. It doesn't help my stock value, but you know what? I may regret it, but it does help my chances of getting this. This is not an unattractive location. So I'm going to actually put this at, what did I say? I said it was at 220. Now it's at 230. And I got to figure out how to do that bid correctly. Let's put it at 23 here, and we'll mark halves between them. So I've bid 230 bucks. Yes, I could calculate it out again. I still haven't figured out the feasibility on him. And so you're beginning to see, though, something kind of interesting in this game. Wow, I saw an interesting effect from this table. It's sort of a weird... the graphics not working. The cost in terms of mental decision, you know, calculations and all that are going on is very high in this compared to other XX games, at this point especially. Later in the game I don't feel like it's as big, although every time an IPO comes out, you know, again, the fact that it's a bidding, just like the fact that each of these privates is available and kind of open, each choice is hard, and this should be gone. There's no more seed money left. Anyway, let me do the thinking. That's hard. His maximum bid on a, unless he combines these, is 160, because he wants to do the call. 170, 185. He's not in on the bidding on it. This one, again, similar kind of situation. Do I really want the bridge here? Probably not, and I probably don't have enough money. 150, 60, 180. I do not have the capital to outbid his big 230 bid. He does. And that's an interesting question. Is this where he wants to throw his bid? Does he want two companies? He might be able to build two companies. So, wow. This would take at least 40 bucks to build a company. And that leaves me with enough to build another company here. I would have to be throwing all my money in to one company to get this to work. I can make more cash with more companies, which is one reason you don't want two of these privates. For, you know, although I've got two more expensive privates, but those two have a synergy that wants to work together. So I think he may let this go. Oh, this is actually officially here already. That company has started, whether or not, you know, as long as somebody's bidding on it. I got the cash to take this. It's a good location, but it's not very attractive. He's not going to go for it. him. 180, 190, 200, 250. Again, I probably can start two companies. Doesn't seem like it's best to challenge somebody who's throwing everything in. Oh, geez. Yeah, he's going to pass on it. And he definitely is uninterested because it's Pittsburgh. Which means, let's get these onto the company treasury, along with this pile of cash. We have started it at 110 a share. Paid a little bit extra for it, but hey, we might have gotten some of those corporations cheaper. And where do I put this? I think here. And priority moves down to him. And he has to make his own choices. Similarly, again, does he want... oh... Does he want two companies? And if he does, what does that mean? That coal mine becomes a lot harder to cope with. Now, the bridge company could be down here at Charleston. This is not a terrible area to be playing around in. There's some interesting stuff going on between these. Granted, they're farther apart than the stuff in the Northeast, but it can still be done. Is there anybody who's playing around? This guy's playing around in the same kind of world. That's going to piss me off. Well. So, what if I created two companies? This one would run for 40. I'd have to put 40 up. So I've got like 60 bucks I'd have to put up for those two companies. And we don't know what we want to do. So yeah, I think I'm going to try something at Charleston, and I might have to upgrade to putting both of them into the same company if I have to make a big bid. Okay, this guy's going to start small. I'm going to put the Strasburg here in Charleston, which probably is a little weird, but and I am going to open it up with a $40 bid of my own, $80 here. That puts me at 120, and that's gonna say, hey, we're gonna start at 60 if this happens. We'll see. This is appealing though to him. And the two of them are the most likely to be involved in this bidding. This is not a particularly attractive location for anyone else in this game. So it's just really between the two of them. I don't think I'm going to throw anyone else's track in there. Other people were vaguely interested in this. This is a nice synergy between the Boston, New York area. It can produce good money, conceivably. Let's say I wanted to put both of these into one company. I'd still have $100 here. That would allow me to bid. This is the same bid as he's got at 120. I can go up to 130 and have $100, which is the minimum amount you can put in for a company. 110 gets me to 55, which has some advantages, but because you can have two trains at 55. But maybe I can get a 2+ train or something. So, so now this 70. 120, 130 would put me there. Do I want to do this? Do I want to go for just one company? Or do I want to build two companies a little cheaper in different areas? Lots of different options. Well, the first question is, do I like this 130 option? I might have trouble getting that $100 company off the ground. I do not. Do I want to go higher and make one company? I do not. So I am going to let this go with what he bid on it. And since he bid that, he can't just up his bid, I don't think. I'm not sure. Maybe he can. No, I believe he could not. So if he was having cold feet about this, he's kind of screwed. But he's, because I don't know what I'm doing. So that's 25, 40, 120. I got it all set here. This goes to 60. We'll pull this back to be able to use it. And I still got another company that I need to start. Now, here's the thing. I was kind of planning on having to bid it up, but it didn't happen. And that's gonna change things. So he's got 60, 145 sitting here for his next corporation. But we got another player to deal with. Whew. Money is open, which means I can look at him and say he's got 75, 80, 85, 145 on a coal mining company. By not going big on that one, I am more or less saying I'm going to do two companies, I think. This minor coal company, yeah, I could put it down here, but that would help him too. So I'm not really attracted to that. Actually, I'm kind of unattracted. There's going to be a lot of coal kicking around the world. I'm kind of not thrilled with the coal at all, to tell you the truth. But we'll leave that alone for now. Louisville, on the other hand, is not unattractive for a bridge. It doesn't get me the coal shit. I mean, again, I could put it here, but that's not appealing. I don't know what is. I think too much coal got bought. But why was I interested in what he had? So 75 and 70 is 145. That means that if I keep 145 free for my coal company, I can use the remainder on my bridge company, or 150 free for my coal company. Let's say it's 150. Yeah, there's no 75. That kind of sucks. Oh, that, yeah. Let's say it's 160. That leaves me only this. Well, that's not going to do it. Okay. Which means I'm going to get second choice out of the coal companies. That's not happy. I should have gone into Charleston. I fucked up. Basically, I'm looking at building something, I think, here in Cincinnati with the bridge company. Shit. I'll start that bid at 50, 60, just $100, which is a $50 a share. It's not going to be a very potent company. Neither of my companies will. But by not bidding on this, I kind of got myself segmented in an ugly way. And I should have forced him to go big or gone big myself. One of those two. So I'm opening this up at 100. Again, I don't think anybody's terribly interested in this company. It's not a particularly attractive location to most people. I have a bridge company. The other one is going to have to fill in at Louisville, I guess, if he gets there. He can do that or not. Doesn't really matter much to me. So, yeah, that double bridge company is pretty iffy. If that would have been better off here, especially without the coal mine. Okay. However, my other company could be built down here and work to get coal there, you know, or somewhere near Charleston and improve the chances of the Charleston company. So I'm not completely screwed there. So yeah, I think no one's going to be upset about him buying this at 100. Except maybe him. And we'll just put that in here with the Ohio Bridge Company, and that moves priority up here. And he's got some interesting questions in his hands. Going to put the New York, Ontario, and Western up with 110 bid. It's 55 a share. It's a nice position in terms of, that's, let me think about that. 110, that's actually enough to buy 3 trains if it's done all on cash, but it's not going to be all on cash. I don't know what it's going to be, to tell you the truth. I want to get 2 companies started with this guy, and in order to do so, I'm going to be splitting my mail contracts, and I've got a lot of flexibility in terms of what I'm doing. Mail contracts are just money, basically. So I will, if it goes cheap, I'll probably put the minor mail contract on that one and more cash on it. Of course, the danger is maybe a healthier company with the major mail contract that I can bid into somebody else's thing. This is probably going to go up in bid though, because other people are interested in this New York City thing. In a way, it's maybe not as good as Albany, but Albany has trouble breaking into this in the yellow track. So, you know, this is probably able to get from New York to Boston fairly easily. Would I have been better off going down into the Baltimore run? Maybe. You know, I don't know. But I'm a little attracted to this northern route. I don't know why. So this is what he chose to put up, mainly because of personal bias. And by doing so, though, he's making other people interested in it. Now, one of the big other people interested in is this guy over here is in a position where he's got to decide, hey, I want to start something in Pittsburgh, but I'm getting such a late bid. Now that things that are kind of neat are showing up, maybe I want to bid on that. Other people, how interested are they? Well, he's tapped out. He probably doesn't want a coal mine in the New York company, but who knows? You know, it may not be that terrible. That doesn't look like the best place to put one. Granted, I could build a mine here because eventually Boston could upgrade there, and maybe Albany hooks it up or whatever, but, you know, then I'm helping Albany, right? You know, I don't know. And it takes until the green until I can cross out to the north. So that becomes somewhat less appealing. So I don't know what other people are going to do. I'm not using dice for some of these decisions. So this guy has just gone to 120 on this. Should I be using dice? I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like I can make these decisions pretty cleanly. This still gives me flexibility in terms of upping my value, but I may be able to start this thing with the extra train station. How much value is the extra train station for the New York one? I don't know. Maybe not as much as in some other places. So I might actually shift my cash around and keep the train station for something that's off somewhere else. And the problem with that, though, is this is the thing that's going to keep me from running too many trains. And so I got to kind of keep that in head. I'm not putting as much cash on that railroad, so it's not going to be able to run 3 trains or whatever. Pittsburgh guy, I don't know. I was forced into dice. This guy did not want to go any further. So, and no one else was interested. I looked at the Pittsburgh. He was going to screw over his chances if he did that. It looks like he's got, I don't know, somehow by buying that Pittsburgh at 40, I don't feel like I have much money. So that 40 means I have to put at least 60 in. So I have 110 for another company. That's not enough for me to challenge anything here. And that's not really pleasing. But this guy ended up passing after this purchase. So he is going to buy this with that train station, I guess, at, what did we say, 30, 40, 120 bucks, which sets it at 60 going behind the earlier one. And we got to get him a presidency, and we got to get a presidency for this guy too. It's real easy to lose track of what's going on and not get those certificates out because you're doing so much mentally. Priority goes to the guy who just bought a corporation. Well, my battery situation is bad. That thing bumped and was turned green. That's bad. I have $130, so I'm just gonna bid that. That puts us 65, and I'm going to try to start the Susquehanna. Well, it's going to start. The question is, who can stop me? Again, the coal mine, not that interested. The coal mine, not that interested. Yes, I could not outbid it. Which puts it on him, and he's like, yeah, I want this and I can outbid you, and that's great. I get the other New York company. I'm tickled pink. How much do I want to pay for it? And that's the decision I gotta make right now. For an easy 140 over here, and now it's Pittsburgh, dude. And now that nobody's stolen it, he wants to make sure that he gets his private company incorporated into something. It would be a really bad idea not to. First of all, it might lose whatever special ability it has. But I was worried that someone else would start that. And in fact, it might have been a good move for somebody like this to bid that up. Gotta get a Strasbourg presidency over there that I did not grab. There we go. It would have been kind of a nice move because he almost has to bid that sucker up. However, he definitely has to face sort of the maximal bid that either of these people can throw in, which is going to be something of a problem. And Pittsburgh guy is forced into a bid that forces that he's not going to get a second company, so he threw almost all his money in. He didn't take the cut like the Boston and Albany guy did, where he actually gave up some cash. Personal cash can be important, and whatever. So can corporate cash, though. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But there's the Pittsburgh line, and that puts us skipping him. He's got no cash. He can't try to IPO anything. To this guy who is looking to me like Scranton or Philly are his best options. Philly's very appealing. Because it gets me right in here. Scranton kind of sucks. So I think we're going to go for the Philly one, but the problem with Philly is we're probably not going to be able to hit our coal mines early in the game, and we're going to kind of have them wasted. Like I said, I think we bought too much coal this game, and we ended up leaving out this, which is pretty good, actually. I'm having serious second thoughts about this. Starting the Philadelphia line. I bid it at a point where nobody was interested in outbidding me. Although actually someone might be. But I'm thinking, wait a minute, there was a synergy here between these two companies. I'm able to throw some coal mines up coming out of the Charleston area, and that looks very appealing to me. So I'm going to actually start a different company over there. And I'm going to actually change which company because this is the Morristown and Erie, and that's kind of in that area. So probably this guy will be starting that one. These railroads starting in shitty locations, to tell you the truth. And again, this is the effect of the coal in the river stuff. In the last game I played, I didn't see that because a lot less privates were purchased, and so people were attracted to the best cities. Well, those best cities have been being kind of largely ignored, except for New York. But now this guy says, you know, I only have a minor coal mine company. I might be able to appear, but I can come out with the greens or something and make some money off that thing. What the hell? Let's try to run that out of Baltimore. Now, this guy doesn't have the money. He has 110, 125. I've got a bid of 130 on play. This guy only has 130, so I get away with it. right? I'm able to slip into a prime location with, kind of a low bid. I think we're going to see a number of those happen, to tell you the truth. My sixth player had a little bit more capital available than this guy. He was able to grab what that guy put up. He might have wanted to put the second choice up to get priority. Priority does matter in this game. First time I played it didn't look like it did too much. You can say, well, why does it matter? Well, the big thing is why priority matters in an 18xx. The biggest reason for it is, well, there's a couple of reasons. One is if you're dumping a company on someone, you want priority over them. That's not going to happen this time, so it probably isn't going to have much effect. Another is being able to pick which corporation that's available when you can afford to float a company before everybody else gets to pick. Well, that doesn't matter much here. The only thing that does matter is I pick that corporation and I bid the exact same amount that's the maximum that my opponent's willing to bid. So that's tempered a great deal. I thought it almost didn't matter at all the last time, when I did play it the first time, because I didn't think you could rape a company by stealing its trains. And it turns out you can. And yeah, that definitely changed the feel of the game and made it much, much more, I'm not so worried about that. I'm not so worried about slamming stocks. A lot of stuff that felt a lot more natural. Because in honesty, yes, there was some skullduggery of the nature of companies just being completely raided in the manner that 1830 represents. It was real rare and probably illegal in some cases, where it did not happen, but whatever, it didn't happen very often. And it feels like too big a hammer in the games of the 1830 series. As opposed to 18xx in general. 1830 is sort of one family where company rapage is really a big deal. It's probably a big deal in this because the games where it tends not to be, companies are rare. So like in 1835, you don't see people raping companies because they want to hold on to that president's certificate. That's a big deal, and a good company with nice tokens and everything. That's a big deal. You don't want to just dump something off unless it's lost its value, especially with the big 30%, and I think there may even be 40% certificates in it, whatever. There's certainly 30% certificates, which makes it more impressive. That's not a case here. You're going to see dots opening up. You're going to see new corporations being able to be started pretty much at will, so there's not much limitation there. So had I put not the one I was most interested in. Anyway, I mean, I could have engineered either getting the priority moved or arranging to get the company I wanted more is basically the choice that I would have been getting. And I probably would have just gotten the priority to move, which is pretty unimportant, but it was a mistake not to do that. Because now everybody passes, and look, I have to start my company anyway and hand priority over there. And at this point, what do I want to start? Well, I got some interesting choices. This one seemed the best because it puts me in kind of a central location, gets me able to hit Chicago, Detroit. There's a lot of yum over there. But then the question is, well, maybe Boston is better than starting another company here or than starting a company here. I don't know. And I'm probably going to do that. I'm probably going to throw something up in Boston just to give more flexibility. The problem with Boston is you got to pay money to get your things. Same thing with Detroit here. Of course, this upgrades, which is kind of nice, but it's kind of a dead end. So I think we're going to go with the Boston Railway. I don't know which one it's gonna be. And there we are at the end of the line. I put all my money into it. Why not? I don't know, because I mean, some people make the decision to save a few bucks. Some people have decided to throw that into their companies. It's kind of hard to determine which one, almost certainly you're going to be unhappy with whatever you chose. Like, there's going to be a point where you wish you had $5 more in your corporation, or there's going to be a point where you wish you had saved it to your capital because your corporation never really needed money. So everybody's on the board. One thing I forgot to mention, this token is now available for the NYOW. Meow. And we are ready to go into the first operating round. I'm going to load this up because it's been over an hour. Just getting through the first stock round. The rest of the game is not this slow. And I won't be going into, as extreme a detail as I did on the bidding on all of this. But this is a point where everybody's getting their IPO. First of all, you have the big auction on the privates. Then you have an auction on all the IPOs. Difference between the two times I played, last time I played, a lot less privates came out. We saw a lot more early centering of companies on the East Coast. Although these kind of flushed out. This one didn't, and that's a kind of nice location. And the Grand Trunk, something didn't start in Detroit this time, which again is kind of nice location, or another one up in Cleveland. But that's driven by the privates. More privates coming out, more interest in being in stupid areas that aren't good without the privates. We have more companies total because those privates, they've kind of generated a desire to build, companies that support each of them. And other than this one, they've all got one private per corporation. That's the only one that doubled up. Probably a mistake. This probably should be one corporation, but we'll see. All right, I'll load this sucker up.